Good afternoon, YouTube pipe smokers. Prairie Piper here on a beautiful, hot July 1st, which is also in Canada, is called Canada Day. It's basically the celebration of the first day of the Canadian Confederation. So 1867, July 1st, Canada becomes a nation. At the time, it was Quebec, Ontario, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. So just the four colonies at that time became, entered Confederation and became sort of United Nation Canada at that time. So obviously more provinces would be added over the, coming 10 or 15 years. The last province, I think, to join was probably Newfoundland, 1949, I think. So happy Canada Day to all my Canadian brothers and sisters out there. Today's review is going to be another Rattray is probably going to be the last one. In fact, it is going to be the last one. I just had a tin of this open. I thought, you know what? Let's just do another Rattrays. This one's not really similar in the line. It's got no perique in it. I don't have the tin, but it's Rattray's Macbeth, and it's Burley and Virginia. So it describes this as a natural tasting Virginia. Now, when you hear that natural tasting Virginia, I don't like to use the word smells like cigarettes or maybe tastes like cigarettes. I much prefer to use the terminology natural tobacco. That being said, we'll do a tin note here right away. When you smell it, I have had this before, when you smell it and when you smoke it, it does have a tendency, if you smoked cigarettes in the past, to smell and taste like similar to a cigarette. Similar. And that's probably because it's just plain Virginia and plain Burley. And if you know anything about cigarette manufacturing, I believe those are the two biggest components in cigarettes is Burley, I don't know what kind, but Burley and Virginia. So it does have a similar quality, taste, and smell to me of a cigarette. But again, I hesitate using that terminology, but I think it's probably warranted with this particular blend because it's just Virginia and Burley. So let's get a tin note here. And if you've ever rolled your own cigarettes, it's a little sweeter than that. It does kind of initially, when you pop open the tin, you do get a little bit of graham cracker, kind of raisin bread, similar to the other Rattray's blends that we've been going through. But after it breathes for a few seconds, for a minute or two, that sweetness kind of dissipates and you smell citrus. And I think that kind of dry citrus tobacco smell is probably, if you've ever rolled your own cigarettes, it doesn't smell dissimilar to rolling your own tobacco for cigarettes. It's similar. Different, but similar. Now, if you've never smoked cigarettes or rolled your own, or even broken a factory cigarette apart, there are elements of this that smell like that. And from what I remember, it does taste similar to that. But what am I smelling? Like I said, it is sweet. It's citrusy. Kind of earthy, but your predominant smells are a citrus from the Virginias and kind of you're right, it's got 3 years of age on it too, so you're going to get a little bit more sweetness smelling from those Virginias, but like I said, sweetness, a little bit of lemon, and kind of a heavy, I don't want to say musty, but it's got this it's a heavy scent, if that makes any sense. Maybe the sweetness could be coming from the Burley too. It's not an overly complex blend, right? It's just got Virginias in it and Burley. But it's a nice smoke. Okay, it's a ribbon cut. pretty fine ribbon cut too. Let me pause this and show you what the ribbon cut looks like here. Okay, so there it is. Virginia and Burley. That's all it is. You know, it has 3 years of age, so the Virginia is going to be a little darker than a new tin. I guess those dark, I mean, you'd almost think there's Perique in here, but there isn't. I know those dark bits kind of look like Perique. I doubt there's Perique in here at all, having smoked it before. It's not a complex blend, but that doesn't mean it's not good. So let's get in a little bit closer. We can, lots of different shades of Virginia. I mean, is some of that could be dark Burley? I don't know. Or maybe just different different cuts of dark Virginia, because it just says Virginias. It doesn't. I don't know if they're definitely not red Virginias. I'll tell you that. It is more of a lemony sweetness with the Burley. So there it is. I'll put this in a pipe and we'll go to the garage. Okay, we're back out here in the garage. Light her up. It's a pretty fine ribbon. No, it just blew out. It's a pretty fine ribbon cut. I don't know if you could tell by the image inside. It's a ribbon cut, and it's almost, portions of it almost look like they're shredded. I don't like the ribbon cut. Like, I love ribbon cut. But this ribbon cut, it's kind of like it's too much. Like, there's a lot of small little flakes in here. Almost kind of like, you know, the bottom like fifth, or, you know, the bottom of a tin where you get those bits. It's not quite that bad, but it's similar. So you might want to be aware of that. You also want to be aware this is a Virginia, but it's a tad on the dry side. I mean, it's got 3 years of age on it. The problem with, you know, if you guys know anything, you know, for those of you that haven't aged or maybe new to it, your best bet when you're aging, buying tobacco to age, is something in a flake or a plug, or like even just a ready rubbed. In my opinion, if it's rubbed out too much and it's a ribbon, it doesn't hold as much moisture, right? Because why would it? It's not a plug or a flake. So this is 3 years old. It's a loose ribbon cut, almost choppy, almost like they've chopped up the ribbons. And when I pulled it out of the jar, out of my cellar, it was dry. So I don't know what this would be like another 2 years down the road, or 3 years. So just something to keep in mind. In my experience with cellaring, it's better to cellar tobacco that's got structural integrity to it, right? Which makes sense, like a plug or a flake. That's not necessarily true of all ribbon cuts. Just as a general rule though, I find fine, thin ribbon cuts don't tend to age very well. Let me correct that. They age very well, but they go drier faster than a plug or a flake, in my opinion. Let me know if you guys have had similar experiences, but I find if the ribbon cut is too fine, it tends to dry out a lot quicker 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Okay, so what do we taste in here? It's sweet, lemons, sweet lemons right now. I should have mentioned inside, and I wanted to, but I'll mention it now. If this has a casing, like to me, most of the Rattrays have a honey casing. which is normal. I mean, casing is, you have to have a casing on most of them, and it's usually honey or something sweet. Like I noted in the other videos, you can't taste it, you can smell it. This did not smell like it had a casing on it. Now, I'm sure it does, but it definitely smelt different. Neighbors building a shed. It shouldn't be too annoying though. Where was I? Yeah, when you handle it, it doesn't stick together. It's naturally dry to begin with. So if it has a casing, it's probably very, very, very minimal. Cocoa, I'm getting cocoa now. There's the burley, right? Burley and Virginias, that's all this is. Hopefully you can, I mean, there's a lawnmower in the back, but hopefully it's not too bad. It's Canada Day, right? You get a day off in the middle of the week, or I guess Tuesday. You know, people are taking advantage of it, right? There's families over, you know, people are having barbecues, building, you know, getting housework done, and I'm okay with that. Normally I let it bother me because I'm trying to do a video here, and then don't they know the Prairie Piper's doing a video? Like, really? I mean, you gotta shut down the whole street when I'm doing a video. I make an exception for Canada Day. Of course not. The world does not revolve around the Prairie Piper. So, not a complex smoke. You get those, I think they're like, you know, bright Virginias with the lemon. Every once in a while you hit a patch of cocoa, and I think that's the burley. That's it. It's not a heavy blend. They have a decent amount of smoke actually, but it's a lighter, the thickness of the smoke, the viscosity, I guess, it's a light smoke. I wouldn't say it's heavy. The aftertaste, as I've noted before, you do kind of get a natural, and I'm going to say that probably only for this particular blend, a little bit more of a cigarette taste because it's burley and because it's Virginia. And I don't think there's much casing, and there's no topping, there's nothing. So if you're looking for, you know, something that, you know, some guys are switching over, is it a gateway from trying to get off cigarettes? It could be. It could be. But having said that, I don't want to put people off that have never smoked cigarettes or think, I'm not telling you this tastes like a cigarette. Of all the pipe tobacco that I've smoked, this one specifically is probably the closest to what it was like to smoke a cigarette, but I'm not saying it is a cigarette. I'm just saying it's closest in similarity. And if you smoke this, or you do smoke it, and you were a previous cigarette smoker like I was, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But that honestly just might put other people off, you know. Some people, I don't mind the natural taste of tobacco, even if it's reminiscent of a cigarette. And you don't, so the aftertaste is that kind of, you know, like dry cigarette tobacco type taste. You don't get it when you're smoking it. You do just kind of get the citrus, the lemons. No hay, I'm just really getting citrus. And every once in a while you kind of get hit up with a bit of that burley. Not complex or sophisticated, not layered, just sort of kind of comes in waves. You hit a pocket of burley and you can taste it. You hit a pocket of a lot of bright Virginias, you can taste those too. So between the bowl up and down, it just sort of switches back and forth, and it's pleasant. Got a cup of coffee here. I did want to say, before I forget, This can be, I don't want to scare anybody, at least for me, this can be a little bitey. It's not too bad, but I can be a bit of a chugger at times, and it's a Virginia, so certain Virginias you got to be careful with. Now, I don't normally keep those prickly Virginias in my cellar because I'm a chugger most of the time. So I don't want to smoke anything that gives me tongue bite. If I get tongue bite from it, day one, it's gone. I don't fuck around with the tongue bite. I can't stand it. Now, if it's my fault from chugging too much, I kick my own ass. But my golden rule is, if I'm trying a new blend and it's giving me tongue bite, it's gone. I never go back to it. Ever. But I know with some Virginias, for me, I've got to be careful with certain brands. This is one of them. With certain blends, this is one of them I got to be a little bit careful with. But once you know that, right, you can kind of just sort of taper your cadence and, enjoy it. It all depends on, there's different types of days. I smoke every day, right? But I mean, some days when I just want to sit down, read a book or watch some YouTube videos, documentaries, and I just want to puff away like old Matches. Matches was a heavy puffer too. Freight train I just Haunted Bookshop goes in and it's boom, it's done. It hits all my buttons and I can just smoke the crap out of it. This is not one of those. I would get tongue bite if I really, really pulled on this one. It burns pretty nice. It burns pretty evenly, but it burns quick. So this is the Todd Bannard. You guys know. Same one I've been smoking the last 3-4 weeks. This is my Virginia Perique pipe. In fact, I might mention there might be a hint more sweetness in this smoke, not because it's, when I say sweet, I mean Perique. This is a Perique pipe. So it's possible, there's a good chance I'm getting a little bit of ghosting from some of the sweetness I'm tasting, although I haven't mentioned it. Yeah, I think if you had this in a neutral pipe, you'd be getting cocoa, light cocoa, not a heavy cocoa, and lemons from the Brights. Anyways, it's a good blend. I probably won't buy any more of it because, I love the other Rattray's blends. I also love Red Rattray. To me, is unbelievable. We will review that one later on. That one's Red Rattray for me is one of the best English Balkan blends. I guess probably a Balkan. It's got a lot of. I love the Red Virginias and the Orientals. Anyways, happy Canada Day. Is my shirt showing up? Hopefully it is. For my Canadian, my fellow Canucks out there, enjoy the rest of your evening. If you're with family and friends having a barbecue, or maybe you're going to watch the fireworks later on today. For everyone else watching, enjoy. I guess it's Tuesday. Everyone's probably at work, although our American brothers and sisters will be celebrating. They'll have a long weekend. You guys got a long weekend coming up here on Friday. I think Friday's July 4th. That's it. Prairie Piper out. Enjoy the rest of the day and the evening. Take care.